Welcome back, everyone. I am Zell, and today we're looking at the Microtech Sigil. Oh boy, friends and neighbors, this one is, well, it's near and dear to my heart because Derek Monroe's design, to me, has always been one of the most beautiful knife designs out there. A very purposeful design where the designer did not forget that a knife needs to look good as well as do its job. And it's one of those job first, looks almost equal designs that's just, well, it's terribly outstanding. Every person I know that has ever come up with an MK6 Sigil, which that's what this one is, has been very pleased with it as far as using it and the way it looks. This happens to be obviously the carbon fiber and titanium with that titanium finish that Microtech uses. It's just kind of super cool. And I know Nick's got a full titanium apocalyptic model. My brother has this same model here, and I know a few others that have these knives, and nobody has ever, now we'll talk about this, once they got them straightened out, broke in, has not been upset with the knife. Now, let's go over some measurements here. We got a closed length of just shy of 5 inches, a handle thickness of 0.52, a spine to spine of 1.4, and weight of 4.14 inches. And that's really not that bad for what we've got. So, let's get it out here, and we'll have to back the camera out some. Look at that Skaha trying to get a little bit of extra time there. Knives are always trying to get a little extra time on this channel. It's like they think they might sell more of their brothers if they do. Well, I don't know about that because sometimes I don't always give them all a raving review, do I? Well, the knives on the table, though, all three of them, for their intended purpose, are great knives. Got the Buck 110, the Rat Model 1. And guys, this Rat Model 1, you guys know that you can go just about anywhere on the internet and get this knife somewhere between 30 and 40 bucks. I saw today at Academy Sports a Rat Model 1 in AUS 8 for over $40. That's just insane. Do not buy your knives from Academy Sports because that's just ludicrous. Anyhow, get one, maybe two more out here. There is our, what's that thing called again? Come on, guys, help me out here. I've had this thing forever, and I love the little dude, and I can't ever remember what it's called. Anyhow, there it is. That's our Delica stand-in, and we might as well bring another Spyderco out here just for fun. That's a Mantra, and this is a Manix 2 lightweight. See, it came back to me. And this is an S110V model. If you don't have good sharpening equipment, I don't suggest either one of those Spydercos because they will give you fits, because that's the steels are made from. They're so ridiculously hard to sharpen, it's just not fair. Anyhow, let's get a look at this blade. We have 3.8 inches of M390 on this one. It is possible, I believe, to get this one in LMAX. Depends on the model. It depends, and there's several different models. Not all of them are carbon fiber, not all of them are full TI apocalyptic. In fact, the carbon fiber and the apocalyptic, from what I understand, are the harder ones to get, but there's a whole plethora of aluminum and brass, etc., that's out there for your sigil pleasure. Anyhow, we have 3.8 inches of blade, and it has Microtech's, what I'm going to call their signature stonewash on it. And that is one of the coolest stonewashes that I have seen. In fact, guys over Microtech, if you would send me a message on how you pull that stonewash off, I would greatly appreciate it because I would like to be able to do something similar. Anyhow, we are very sheep's footy here. We got some swedging up here. We got a little bit of jimping across the top. We got our blade hole, and we'll call it a flat saber grind and a big sharpening choil. This is not a place to put your finger. You will hurt yourself. and just well done. That edge termination is just gorgeous. And we already did our comparisons, so let's jump into our pause and read card, and then we will talk about the mechanical bits of the knife. All right, so mechanically, what are we running here? Well, we're all titanium down this side, titanium clip, the M390 blade, and we are on bearings. I have not taken this thing apart because we got these rather annoying Microtech screws, which, if it wasn't for the fact that their pivot is super different, thread and everything from anybody else on the market, this is one of those places where I might have bought the tool and took all those screws out and put my own screws in so that I could have torque screws in it. But can't do that because everything here is threaded slightly different, or a lot different than most of what you get out there. However, this is a good thing. One of the things that a lot of people don't know because they don't take apart Microtech knives is this pivot is a super fine thread. So why is that important? Well, with just a smidge of medium strength or light strength locking compound, those tight threads in there will stay in place and stay in place for a good long time. Anyhow, what that comes out to is a knife that locks up extremely well. It is probably 50 or a little over. Some people may be upset about that, but that is a difference between most American knives and most production knives. And I say production and American and all that. Well, what I mean by that is if you buy a ZT, it's probably going to lock up early. If you buy a Wii, a Best Tech, a Riot, etc., they're probably going to lock up early because they use a different style of insert. This insert, all it does is make up the same width as the lock bar would have been. It's just made out of steel instead of titanium. Most of those other knives from most other companies have a lock bar insert that is a little different and more made specifically for locking the knife at a specific place, and it may be locking up deeper than what it appears. In fact, most of them do. But this one, very simple lock bar insert, does its job well. And most knives from Microtech, I don't know about Hinderer anymore, but it used to be Hinderer, Strider, etc., lock up deeper than most knives from most production knives. You know, Medfords, they usually lock up about 50%. And personal opinion is that's not a bad thing. It's just the way it is. And you've got good positive lockup on these knives. And action-wise, it's good. It feels a little slow, even though it isn't. I don't know if that's due to blade weight or what exactly, but it does feel a little slow, but, you know, obviously it's working just fine. And as far as push button or light switch, and hey, we should talk about push buttoning and light switching, huh? Because somebody had that as one of their admissions on the whatever was going around YouTube that I didn't get to be a part of because I had to take a few days off. Okay, light switching means that, like a light switch, you push down on it, just like you would reach up to a light switch. Push buttoning means that you push in, hold the knife, let your index finger load it, and then pop it open. Some knives, this knife is really meant just for light switching. Some knives are very, I don't know if, yeah, this one is going to be very push buttony, because you can just literally push button it, push it straight in, and it will do its thing. So that's really the difference between push buttoning and light switching. And the knife will tell you what it wants, generally by the angle here, or where the thing is located, and some knives you can only push button, some knives you can only light switch. Doesn't matter. This one seems to work good. You can flick it there. I don't know if I can. You can thumb flick it. That kind of hurts my thumb, but it's possible. And of course, you can do it with either hand. Doesn't have any lock bar issues. And there's the other thing. You can just roll it open. Real nice deal there. And before we get to ergonomics, I just want you to get a look at the details across this knife. All the little cuts, the little smoothing, all the little things that Microtech has done that just make this thing kind of special. And maybe it isn't special to you, but to me, ever since I started looking at knives, even back when I was using cheap knives, the Microtech Sigil was something that stood out to me as something that I wanted to eventually own. And I finally got one, and I feel privileged to have it. And the best part is just like I envisioned, it's a darn good knife. So ergonomics, you guys know what I'm going to say. It's pretty freaking simple here. And that's exactly what you get. You get a knife that you can get your hand around in any direction without any fuss. You got that big blade hole up there for your scraping, and it's just a good knife. Now, problems. There are problems here. What are the problems? Price. If you want to get a hold of one of these, I think they start with the aluminum model somewhere around $450. And they only go up from there. This model generally sells for about $550 if you can find one new. And that's a big if. So price is very high, and you have to be really intent. If you're going to have it as a user knife, it has to be, like for me, it was something I really, really, really wanted to have as a user knife because of that blade shape, because of that handle, and because it's just something I've always dreamed of having. Now, other things that are a problem with this knife. Besides the price, it is a knife made in what I'm going to start calling the traditional manner. And by that, I mean whenever you get the knife, it's probably going to have a little bit of lock stick in it. It's probably going to have a little bit of a slow action. And you're going to have to spend some time working with the knife to break it in. It's not like your ZTs, your Wiis, your Best Techs, your Riots that come out of the box perfect, already broke in. So keep that in mind if you get one of these. I know one individual ordered a really nice Sigil and ended up sending it back because they were very mad about the action. And here's what it came down to. The knives, the high-end knives that they had all been Wii, Riot, Reich, Best Tech, and they had never experienced breaking in an American-made knife. And that's something that just happens. If you're going to have a knife like this, you're probably going to have to break it in. Will the American companies change that? Maybe they will in the future, but for now, most of them are going to require some break-ins. So let's get this guy in the pocket and finish this up. Oh, that was heavy. One of them Blade HQ bags of knives over here. And that's one of the beautiful things about this knife. It's good and long. Pocket clip's long enough to keep it from getting that weird wobbly thing. Lanyard hole is up above the pocket for you guys that like that. And it seems to be a knife that I can carry very easily without it getting whacked into things. Even got some nice little stuff right there. And, I'll give you guys one more good look at the knife as a whole. Because, that's kind of what this video is about. It is more knife porn than anything else. So let's just look at it. And that's another thing. They ground this sucker really thin behind the edge. I think I sharpened that guy at 17 degrees. And look how small that secondary bevel is. That is a beautiful thing, makes for just a phenomenal cutting knife, especially for that low saber grind. It just glides through things. Now, it's a thing to think about. Is this a knife you're going to want to cut cardboard with all day? Probably not. But it is good everyday carry knife, even with the expense. Or in spite of the expense, maybe. I don't know. But guys, this has been the Microtech Sigil MK6. It literally is one of my favorites. It was a grail knife for me, and it's one that I will have for a long, long time. You guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And there's a little bell button down there that if you click that, you won't ever miss anything we put out here on the Zelrick YouTube channel, and we'd appreciate that because we don't want you to miss anything. Might be, you know, giveaways and stuff. So Nick and I are working on that giveaway, and old Stazza and I have, it's going to be a big one. You guys get ready for that. Don't miss any videos, and I will see you next time.